Welcome everybody to the next installment of the UpScale podcast. Today you get again. Welcome everybody to the UpScale podcast. Again, your host today. You're with Nathan and
Mitch Van.
It's always a bit weird when you intro with that.
It is. I also am mindful that we have the new intro to the actual podcast that people would have just heard.
Mate, a lot of new things happening. They haven't seen this couch before.
They haven't seen this couch?
Well, they can't see it on Spotify, but if you watch it on YouTube, there's now a couch.
There's now a couch, like a casting couch.
Yeah. So you like to call it.
So I like to call it. Before we get into what we're going to be talking about today, I'd actually like to kind of go through something really quickly, which you've just brought up. New stuff is happening. New stuff is happening here at UpScale Business Coaching. And I think that's a really interesting thing to really quickly talk about, how business can progress and how you go through phases, and you have growth and you have lull periods. We try not to have too much down, but ultimately we're in a phase at the moment where a lot of new stuff is happening. We've got new hires, new team members coming on, new staff.
We've got a new lease on the new property,
new offices, which means we have to fit it out, new purchases, new desks, new camera equipment, new studio, all of these kind of things, lots of new stuff. And to feed the beast, obviously now we have to also come up with new lead generation strategies.
That's right. Like you go through these phases where, and we see it all the time, it's I haven't got enough work. I need to generate new leads, or now we're at a space where we've got to optimize what we've got, get more out of it, and then go back to the hiring thing again. So it's been exciting. There's been a lot happening. It's really important this time, I guess, like talking about this, is that we've had to look at, how are we making sure that we're on top of all the little bits and pieces that we need to be as we're going through this growth phase. Because I hear it all the time, you get overwhelmed. There's a lot of things happening. There's a lot of pieces up in the air. How do we make sure that we're getting the most out of what we're doing and meeting our demands while growing?
And I think also, as we sit in the coaching space for businesses, we really need to be a role model for that. It's really important that we showcase for ourselves, but also for our clients and for the listeners, the different strategies that we actually go through, working out how are we going to make sure we have enough coaches for our clients so that our service never drops. How do we increase our leads and also keep the conversion percentages the same as we're growing and bringing on new staff, and accommodating new operational expenses.
Now, this is where the planning is so important.
So important.
Like what is really important to us is that we have one day a week purely dedicated to working through all this stuff and going through these details as a team. Making sure that we're sitting down and going, okay, this is where we are. This is where we're going. These are the things that we need to be doing. These new things are coming in. How are we going to manage those when we get to the 3-month, 6-month, 12-month mark? What are we going to need then? And make sure that we're just actively working towards those things and temperature checking all the time. Are we doing what we need to do to be able to fulfill what we have to?
Now with our clients, we build out a roadmap for each of them so that we understand, the different trainings that they need to go through, the different systems they need to build into their business, when they need to hire, when they need to increase the leads, all those kind of things. And we obviously do that internally in our own business. You just alluded to it. We spend 20% of our business time, the working week, actually working on the business as opposed to in the business.
It's that planning component, right? Like one thing that I really enjoy about the way I'm working today, as opposed to how I used to work, I used to be purely reactive. I was just dealing with things as they come up. And there was always this kind of feeling of overwhelmed. Well, now, with this structure and with these meetings and the things that we operate, I have a schedule, and I've looked at my complete workload, and I put time for all of these things into my calendar. So I know, and my days are simple now. I just wake up, I do what's on that calendar, and I do it to the best of my ability. And I know if I hit each of those things as it's described in the calendar, the business keeps the trajectory that we need it to.
And that's a beautiful thing. A lot of people think business is hard. And I'm never going to say it's easy, but if you have a systematic approach to growing and scaling, it becomes like clockwork. And I think that's something that we as a team here do really, really well.
We do.
And it's also something that we've been able to pass on to our clients. Now, if we go back to the start of this, you were just talking about the fact that now you've got different time slots where you can do different things. I saw yesterday you actually sent through a video, some content you created around sales. And I think that after watching that, watching the two of them. There was 2 different videos. One's up on YouTube if you want to check that out. I think after seeing that, I'd love to actually talk to you around sales today.
Yeah, I think it's a really contentious issue right now for a lot of people as well. You know, right now we're at the quieter months of the year.
Yep.
You know, November, December are typically quite busy. And then January, February, things tend to drop off.
Yep.
And it can be really easy in this time to start to stress and start to make irrational decisions. You know, as a business owner, you really don't want to be making decisions out of fear, and you don't want to be making long-term decisions based on a situation that may be only momentary.
Yes.
So one of the things that I've seen come up a lot recently is people are panicking. You know, they're doing all the things, you know, so well, to some degree, they're doing all the things.
Give me an idea. What are we talking about? All the things. What are they doing?
Well, we'll talk sales and marketing. So from the marketing component, you know, they've got their Facebook ads up, they've got their Google ads out, they're dangling carrots in front of people. And, you know, where in November and December, work was coming in, those leads and whatnot have dried up a little bit. They're still trickling through, but they're not as effective as they were last year.
Yep.
So, which has led people to go, okay, what else can I do? If my money's doing the most it can do in that space right now, what else can I do as a business owner to try and generate more work? Then we've got the outreach component. And this is vital for every single business at all times. You need to be doing outreach continuously. But one of the things that I've found in numerous conversations I've had recently is that customers are only going 70% of the way.
Yes.
So outreach.
So they're having trouble converting the actual customer to that last point of the sale.
And it's like saying you want to drive from Byron to Melbourne and, you know, driving 3/4 of the way and getting to Canberra and going, you know what? I'm just going to stop here.
This is good enough.
This is good enough.
I'm happy here.
It's not quite Melbourne though.
Yeah.
You know, it is our capital territory, but it hasn't got the culture that Melbourne does. So I think what I wanted to talk about today was that added layer. You know, you've sent out your emails. You've got your dream customer list. You've sent an email to them all. You've sent them brochure. Some have come back to you and said, yeah, that's great. I'm looking for somebody right now that'll work great. Others, and majority of you haven't heard anything back. Some of you may have picked up the phone and given some of these people a call, but for the most part, these conversations haven't been followed up on. And I think when we're looking at the holistic picture, we need to be getting in front of these clients. If we can't get them on the email, if we can't get them on the phone, then we need to go out there and build a relationship with these people. And there's a lot of fear around this. There's a lot of, and even for myself as a salesperson, like I've been doing this stuff for a very long time. Anytime I enter into a new business relationship and a new contact, there's those feelings of, I don't know how this is going to go. Maybe I want to avoid that. And my experience has been, though, is that every single time I put myself in one of those situations, the outcome is better than my head tells me it's going to be.
Yeah. I think a lot of people think that if they're going to put themselves out there, they go worst case scenario.
Every time.
They think that they're going to walk in there and trip over and break a leg, or somehow their arm's going to be bitten off.
Yeah.
Like literally. And one of the actual things that we do and you know what, I'm going to put you on the spot in a second. I am going to do it. But one of the things that we do in some of our coaching calls is we actually give everyone a script and we get them to then go and identify the perfect customer they want to use it on. And we get them to mute, and they don't know that this is going to happen. You guys will now, but, and they mute the call then and there, and they actually have to go and call someone. And so we're talking about, you know, 50, 60 people sitting live on a Zoom call. They've all muted their lines. They get out their phone and they actually make the call. Now, I know you're talking about walking the door, but the amount of resistance we get for just that is huge. And I always say to the guys, just do it. Just go and do it.
Just do it anyway.
And come back to me and let's talk about it after. And they do it. And normally 60% of the room, 60% of the people come back and they're like, I've just got an appointment. I've just got an appointment.
Dumbfounded.
They're like, it works. And I'm like, yeah, it works. And then I say to the other 40%, did anyone lose a limb? Is anyone sitting here now really in a worse space than they were before? I've never had anyone say, no. Mitch, I lost my hand. It's gone.
Never.
Like, oh, I can't talk anymore. Not that they're going to say that if they can't. But you get my point, is that we sit in the irrational fear. We always sit in what could go wrong as opposed to what could go right.
And that fear is what stands between you and the life of your dreams.
Yep.
That is that last 30% of putting yourself out there, whether it be on the phone or even better in person, is what gets the result. There's there's this illusion that
It's like dating. I always come back to dating analogies. It's like dating. Okay. The guy that stands at the bar and doesn't talk to the girl never gets anywhere.
the answer is always no.
The answer is
never
always
ask
no.
it.
If you never ask, you never get anywhere.
Yeah.
But if you have the courage to put yourself out there and go and ask, I reckon 9 times out of 10, you're getting a date or you're getting a phone number or you're getting somewhere.
Something to work with.
Something to work with. It's like dating.
Everything's like dating. I think you can bring everything back to dating one way or
because
another.
it's relationship building.
It is.
We talk about sales, it's relationship building. And if we're talking about relationships in that space, you know, in the way in which society is now, if you're going to start dating, you've got to start building that relationship. It's a connection. And to do that, you need to put yourself out there and start the conversation.
And it just starts with a willingness to feel the fear, but do it anyway.
Yeah.
There's this thing that goes on in your head. And I made a video about this morning when I was going out for a surf.
Yep.
So this morning, 5 a.m., I was tired. I woke up. It was pissing down rain outside. And I went, I don't want to do this today. But I know in my head not to listen to that voice anymore. So I got up. I got down to the surf. I got down there. It was dark. It was cold. It was raining. And my head's going, we're not going out there today. I said, no, we're not going to listen to that. I waited 5 minutes. The rain stopped. I put on my boardies. I got out into the water. Rain cleared. Dolphins were jumping. There was a rainbow. And I had the best surf I've had in months.
Mate, I will point this out, but every day I rock up to work at the moment, I see that board in the front seat. Like, I don't know how you fit a longboard in that car, but you fit it in there.
Yeah.
And you've got your either your steamer, your springy, your boardies, your towel, whatever, drying over it.
Yeah.
And then I love it.
Yeah.
I love knowing that you are moving through that and doing it every single day consistently because you set that as a goal.
Yeah.
You wanted to achieve something. And our clients do this all the time. They set a goal that they want to achieve X. And we do that in our roadmap sessions right at the start with them. They want to achieve this. And we go, cool, this is what's going to have to happen every day, every week, every month, every quarter, every year to get you to that point. And 99% of the time, it's only 2 years away. Most people don't realize they're 2 years away from full financial automation of their business where they're earning a great wage and not having to be there. But they have to show up each and every day.
And through showing up, and no matter what, like if you set, this is the goal, I need to go and generate more customers.
Yep.
It's been identified that how I'm going to do that is by putting myself out there, and you put on your calendar and you make a firm commitment to yourself. This is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to call people. I'm going to drop in, whatever it is. You are going to have to feel that fear and do it anyway. And what I can tell you from my own experience of doing that is that conversation that you have in your head, like, oh, I may not, or I may, it gets quieter. Yeah. And all of a sudden you start finding yourself in the space of, I'm just going to do what I need to do. I'm not going to question it, and I will get the results. And it starts to compound in your life. You're no longer spending all your time deliberating whether it's a yes or no to what I'm going to do today, the thing that I need to do. And you start to see in your life and experience the results of showing up consistently. Yeah.
You just talked about how like words have power. Yep. And if you know, while yes, things can start to quieten in your mind, you know, that negative talk, it can also go the other way where it gets louder. The positive talk gets louder.
Oh yeah. And you need to focus on that.
Yeah. And words have such power. And, you know, we sit in our heads saying, I can't do this, or sales are hard, or I'm not going to be able to get these clients. That mentality translates into the fact that you will not get clients.
You project that.
You project that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think on an energetic level, we think that it's just the words that we say that translate and communicate.
Yep.
But there is something energetically that transfers based on what we're thinking and feeling. So if we're sitting in this conversation today and my headspace was, I didn't want to be here.
Yep.
But I have made this agreement with myself that I'm just going to be here anyway. You would sense that.
Yeah.
And you would feel like, oh, I don't really want to talk to Nathan. You know, some days you walk out and about and you're all happy and you're peaceful and everyone smiles at you. You go to the checkout, the girl smiles, everyone's happy, and you think, what's going on today?
Yeah.
It's because you're present.
Yeah.
Because you're just showing up and you're happy. And other people sense that, and then they're drawn to you.
Yeah.
So I think.
So if we're talking sales,
okay.
First point is you have to get to a stage where you understand the importance of it. You understand that nothing bad's going to happen, And this is a great space for you to be in there and just get out there and leap and have faith that everything's going to be okay.
Yeah. And if look at worst case scenario. Worst case scenario is
no. That's it.
That's it. It's a numbers game.
Yep.
And I guarantee you'll start to receive more yeses than nos, but it's no every time if you don't ask the question.
Yep. Okay. So first point is get into the space. We're talking sales. What's next?
Okay. I think from there, we again need to look at our time.
Yep.
I think the time management component, particularly as a business owner, is really, really important. And when you are busy on the tools or trying to run the business and getting invoices and quoting and payroll and dealing with staff, it's really easy to put sales as one of those things that I'd like to do, but I don't have enough time to do.
Yeah.
Like you have to carve out time in your calendar because make no mistake, it is the most important part of what you do.
Yep.
There needs to be a higher weight in how you prioritize the sales component. If there's customers, if there's money coming in, there's no problem within the business that we cannot solve.
Yep.
So look at your time, make a firm time commitment of when you are going to do these things.
Yep.
The next thing for me is
one sec.
I felt that coming.
One sec. You felt the energy shift.
Yeah, I felt it.
So we've told them to allocate time. Now, a bit of a weighted question here because I've got an idea of this for myself and what I would coach out to my clients. What do you think is there like a time amount that they should be? Like if you're just one guy on the tools in business, there's obviously a different amount of time allocation towards sales than someone that has a team of 5, team of 20, team of 10. Just like when, me and you hanging out at home, I'll come around to yours and let's say we order a pizza. We can get 1 or 2, like depending on how hungry we are.
Yeah, 2.
But if we're there and there's a group of us, like 10 guys, we can't get 2 pizzas.
No,
they're not hungry.
No.
So if we want to feed everyone or feed the team, what's the number? How many pizzas do we need to order?
Man, you need as many pizzas as you can get. I mean, I'd rather be turning away work than not have enough of it.
Yeah, agree.
I think the key to scaling and growing and doing it comfortably is having a healthy flow of work. I think to be able to do the right kind of work, it's nice to be in that, back to dating, the abundance mentality.
Yes.
Having more customers than you can handle allows you the ability to discern. I don't want to do that one because that's not the ideal job for me. If you're in a position where you have no work, you're going to take any job that you get.
At below profit. So you're probably not going to make as much money as you can. And you're probably going to rush it. Yep. You're probably not going to take the time. You're not going to be able to do all the things that effectively lead to a customer satisfaction score of 10 out of 10.
And you're not going to be happy.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if we're talking time, what your answer is the more you can do, the better. And I would 1,000% agree with that.
And just in that, we've also just got to look at ways that we can do this without it being a time component.
Yes.
Like if you're down at a restaurant and you're ordered a meal and you speak with the owner of the business, have a chat with him about what you do for work. Have a chat with him about how your business can service his issues.
Kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah, you got to look at ways where you can integrate this into other parts of your life and just your general way of being, so it's not so labor intensive.
Yep. Okay. Perfect. We're always talking to clients. Clients will ask, Mitch, I've got some spare time. What should I do? The answer is just do lead gen.
Yeah, lead gen.
Because then effectively, if you do lead gen, you land some more clients, you can effectively get more staff. And then that once again removes the component of need of owner's time in the business. Now, I asked you what it looked like, and your answer was, as much as you can. And I agree with that 100%. But if we want a nice amount to actually go by, what I always say is, if it's just you in the business, just you, aim for 2 hours a week.
That's the number that comes to me too.
And when I say that, I don't want you to sit there and be like, oh, this guy's just added another 2 hours to my life. You've just started a business. It's just you. Don't sit there thinking you're going to work 40 hours a week. No, that's just, it's the reality is the more work you do, the quicker you will grow.
Yeah.
So if you're doing an 80-hour week compared to someone, the same skill set, same efficiency measures doing a 40-hour week, you will grow quicker.
You got to do that work initially. And the quicker and more that you do, the quicker you get out of having to be tied into doing longer hours.
Exactly.
The quicker you can get more customers, the quicker you can put yourself out there, the quicker you can grow, hire people and relieve yourself of those duties.
Yeah.
But sitting in the background in no man's land
does nothing.
Will keep you there forever.
Yeah. So what I was saying is 2 hours for you. Yep. Then realistically, I like to assign an additional half an hour for every billable resource that comes into the business. So if it's you and 2 other tradies or 2 other billable resources, that would mean that you're going to do 3 hours.
And I think there's an emphasis on what that 2 hours looks like, because it's not just sending out emails. It's not just collating lists. It's speaking to customers. And it's not driving out to see somebody. It's 2 hours of client-facing, client communicating, building relationships. Yep,
definitely. Okay, so if we've established the time and more is better, we also want to just be mindful of that as you get better at this, you actually be able to bring in leverage because you've gotten better at a skill set here. So if you are a master salesman, a master lead driver, no, you might not need 2 hours, but we're just using this as a base number. As you get better, reduce it a little bit. Yep.
For sure. I just want to emphasize the power of going out and seeing somebody. Your head will tell you this is the hardest thing to do, but the actual reality of it is the success rate is so much greater. It is far easier to reject somebody over the phone than it is in person. My experience has always been that if I call somebody, chances are I'll probably convert somewhere around 25 to 30%. If I go out and see that same person, and I'll just talk a little bit about how I am when I'm out on site in a sec. But if I go out and see that person, I'd sit at around 70%. And it's purely because there's a personal component to it now. You get to get that energy of that person. You get to experience that person and take into account for a moment who you actually are. Like, you're engaged in business coaching. You're the 1%er. You know, you're the 1% of businesses out there that are actually actively engaged in A, delivering a product or service at the highest level, and B, servicing people to a level which keeps them engaged and keeps them coming back. You are the ideal candidate for any business you go out. But it's very hard to portray that over the phone. And very few people are dropping in and seeing them and building relationships with them. So by going out there and just being yourself, showing interest, telling them that I see that you have these problems, I have the solution, and I'm honestly really interested in working with you, will get you so much further than just staying in the background like all the other businesses do.
So you mentioned your conversion percentage there. So if we kind of like push this out and we talk about the different ways we can actually do some outreach, we've got emails.
There's a flow.
There's a flow. Normally emails themselves will convert around 5 to 10%. If we then go up to a phone call, we're talking about 20%. 20 to 25, something like that. And if we're talking face-to-face, we're talking 70%. Now, what if we actually stack those?
And that's how you do it.
There you go. So if we send out an email, maybe we'll get no response. We make a phone call, might get the receptionist.
But we get the details.
We get the details. And then we walk in the door. The person that we're trying to get to might remember the email. The receptionist might remember speaking to us. And then the person that you're actually wanting to speak to has more contact points. So therefore, your conversion percentage, once again, because of the stack, can increase.
And then the next layer to that is, how many times do I go out there and repetitively see this person? So if you called me today with, you know, your business coaching services and I was busy and not interested in speaking to you, I'd probably say that, look, mate, not interested. I'd hang up. If you called again and said, hey, I'm still interested in working with you, we've got the, and I'd be like, mate, I appreciate your consistency, but I'm still not interested. Then you lob up at the front door and you say to me, hey, mate, it's me again. I know you've got these problems, I'd probably be like, look, mate, I really appreciate it, but I'm still not interested. But if you keep showing up, I guarantee you one of these days, I'm going to be having a bad day in business and I'm going to have a gripe and something that I want to talk to you about. And I personally, and I know many other businesses do, they just appreciate somebody who genuinely wants their work. I guarantee you the current suppliers are taking them for granted. The current people that are calling are not taking this level of interest. If you really intently set your mind on something and go for it, you will get that thing through consistency.
Consistency is key.
Consistency over time equals results.
Kobe Bryant talks about that. Kobe Bryant talked about the fact that it was when one of his videos talking about how he trained. as a junior and coming up. And he would talk about, all the other guys in the gym would train twice a day. They'd do their workout and then they'd go and shoot hoops.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas he would get up in the morning, cardio, shoot hoops. And it's not even 9 o'clock yet. And then he'd have a 2-hour break and he'd go into the gym. And then 2 hours later, he'd go shoot more hoops. And then 2 hours later, he'd go and do team training.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 hours after that, he'd be going and shooting hoops.
Mm-hmm.
And you're talking about an accumulation of consistency, showing up time over time over time. He was doing 4 times, 8 times the volume and the load of everyone else. He got better. And that's exactly what you're talking about there is, no, you might not win that client first time, second time ever. But you know what you're going to do? You're going to get better at client facing.
100%. Everyone's looking for this magic trick.
There's none. There's no magic trick in business at all.
And everybody's calling you and saying, hey, I got this magic trick.
No.
I got this magic trick. Has anyone ever found this magic trick?
No.
It's a unicorn. It doesn't exist, right? It is all about consistency. And it is just showing up, doing the things, gradually getting better. And over time, the accumulative effort, it has that result.
Success is simple. We do the simple things consistently and it leads to success.
Definitely.
All right. So we've talked about the fact that, we've got to get in the right mindset. Then we've talked about the time. And now we're talking about the simple fact you just got to show up. All right. Let's actually give a bit of an understanding of what maybe some scripting might look like, what some actual examples could be of how we can go in, have those conversations, and it ultimately lead to us being in a better space than not doing anything or poor scripting. Yeah,
definitely. I think that there's a bit of a misconception with how sales are meant to be conducted. People think that you have to be this charming guy who says all the right things and knows how to just manipulate. And look, once upon a time, this was a thing. We don't live in that space anymore. Customers.
It's what Wolf of Wall Street did to sales. Everyone started thinking that they had to be this. This sleazy lion that was just going to come in and just it's mine.
No one wants that. You go into a clothes shop these days. I know I do. And if somebody comes up to me and I try a pair of jeans on, and she's like, "Oh, they look really good on you." I'm like, "Oh,"
I'm like, "You just selling me?
Just get away! I know what you're doing right now." You can see the dollar signs on my head. So throw all that stuff out the window. People buy from people. And it's that simple. You have to just be real. You go out there, you say, "Hey, I see the work that you do. I understand what the problems are that you're experiencing, and I've found some solutions to these problems. I'm really interested in working with you. What can we do to make that work?" You just and essentially that's the truest conversation you can have. People appreciate that. Cut through the bullshit. Hey, I'm a real guy, or I'm a real woman. I've got a business. We're really intent on providing great solutions for people in your industry. I've worked with other clients. This is what we've been able to do.
This is the value we brought them.
This is the value we brought them. This is where we differ. Cannot we help you? And if we can't help you now, can we provide you with a second opinion when you do need some help? And it's as simple as that. And then from there, it's just being front of mind, that kind person who keeps showing up, who intently wants to work with you. Forget that there are little tricks and things that you can use to kind of help you close deals and that kind of thing. But we're not selling TVs. We're not selling financial, advice. We're selling a solution to a real world problem. So it comes down to the personal aspect. Be yourself, build a relationship, build some rapport, provide a solution, and leave all the bullshit at the door.
I mean, this is a great example of what we were talking about on the last episode with the team at Electrical How To. And they've been able to generate massive amounts of revenue per staff member simply by the fact that they go in, they talk about the solutions that they provide and the value that they can add to that customer. And that's ultimately what you're saying. You're saying, sure, there's these fancy scripts and all these kind of things, but at the end of the day, go in, connect with a person, build a relationship, understand their pain points, understand what they're struggling with and what they need help for, and then show them how you can do that and fix that with a solution. better than anyone else.
That's exactly what they do, and they do it really, really well. And that's why, as a billable, their billable resources get so much more than the industry standard. They've got their staff into understanding that they're not trying to sell, they're trying to help.
Yep.
And if you approach things with I'm trying to help rather than I'm trying to sell, the money will naturally follow.
Yep.
But it's all about getting out of the space of like, I feel like I'm trying to sell this person. No, I'm here to try and help this person.
Yeah.
And here are the things that I've identified that I can help you with. And
Yep.
these are going to be the benefits to your business.
Yep. Perfect. All right. I did say at the start I was going to put you on the spot.
Here it comes.
All right. And what I thought we could do is I'm actually going to give you can put me on the spot here too. We'll do it both ways.
Okay.
All right. We're talking sales.
Mhm.
I back my ability to sell.
Mhm.
I feel I'm really good at sales. And I know that you do too. And it all comes because we have had years, let's go decades. Like I know we look young, but guys, we're not that young. But we've had, a good wealth of experience in that space. If you were going to give one single tip, or let's go two single tips around selling or around getting to a space where you feel more confident selling, what would they be? Just two.
Yeah. This is there's a lot in there,
Yeah.
but I would say do it anyway is the first thing. So you just have to start doing it. You're never going to achieve anything sitting on the sideline.
Yep.
The second piece of advice I would give is just be real.
Yep.
Just cut through the bullshit. Be caring, kind, and honest and consistent, and you'll get the result.
I like it. My two. I'm going to pull in some lead gen here, which is generating leads. I'm going to pull in some pre-sales work on this.
Yeah, it's important.
Yep. My one would be to try and have the person that you are meeting, emailing, calling as warm as you can.
Yeah.
And so what I mean by that is, in a simple way to do that, or a couple of simple ideas in that could be, okay, if you want to go back to dating, sure. Could be Facebook audiences. Get all the email addresses of the people that you're actually thinking about reaching out to and going and meeting, and put all their email addresses into a Facebook ad audience, and then run some ads to them, talking about testimonials, the services you offer, so on and so on. Because then when you see that person, it might not be the first time you've seen them. We want to talk about some other ways to warm an audience. It could be flyers. It could be making sure that your vans are in the area that day, that week, a whole host of things. Just ultimately try and get in front of someone in some way before the first time you actually have that initial first conversation with them.
So when you get to that conversation, it's not as cold.
Yeah.
So it's welcoming, and there's some, you don't have to educate.
Yep. You don't have to educate. That's okay. First one. Oh, second one. What do we got here? Second one. We're going to talk really quickly about the difference between emotion and logic in selling. All right. And a lot of the time when we buy something, we buy based on the emotional component of it. Yep. It has a solution to us on a feeling level.
How we feel about it. Outside of just
that logically makes sense. Like, when was the last time you bought something that logically made sense?
Good question.
Exactly. We walk in and buy a car. You don't walk out with a base model.
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah.
Like, you might want to, but you don't. You walk out because this other one has other options and extras and so forth that make you feel better. And it's the same with clothing. It's the same with anything. We buy based off emotion. So if I'm going to give my second pointer there, it would be understand that your potential client has emotions, and what they're asking you for is not a logical solution, but an emotional one. Yep. Hi, I need a PowerPoint here. Yep. Why? Oh, because I'm sick and tired of running an extension cord from there to there. How does that make you feel? Man, it is so annoying. Tripping over it all the time. Yep. All blah, 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 blah. Well, I mean, logically, why don't you just move the chair over there? It's going to cost you less money. I don't want to. I enjoy being here and watching telly from this spot. It's an emotional decision. So my second point is try and understand the emotional space that the client or potential client is coming from when you're trying to sell someone or trying to sell to someone.
I love it. I think as well, like just on that final note, you have to identify what the driving factor will be
Yep.
in who you're approaching. So if you're dealing with a consumer, mum and dad, you know, a retail customer, so somebody who, say, private domestic.
Yep.
Those decisions are highly emotive. Like if we're talking about electricians, upsell opportunities are things that aesthetically make the place look nicer. If we're talking about other upsell opportunities, we're talking about safety. What's gonna create an emotion for that person, which will make them buy. If we're talking to a business, it's logical.
Yes.
You have a problem, and
Oh,
you've got
I'm going to come back at you with this one. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with you. 60% of the time.
Okay.
Keep going.
There's still
Yep,
people,
yep,
right? There's still people within these businesses. But I find with businesses, if you can present a logical solution that financially makes sense, which is going to save money and problems,
Yep.
then it's only an intelligent business owner or a manager will only logically go, well, we have to do that.
Yep.
So it's return on investment.
Yes.
It's
ROI, it's monetary based.
correct.
Yep. Now I 100% agree with you. 60% of the time.
Okay.
Because
sounds about right, really.
That's life anyway. Because the amount of times we hear clients get into sessions and they talk about someone went with someone that was more expensive because they were friends. That's the emotional side that sometimes can trump that.
And there's something that goes along with that, because there's this feeling of this person's going to take care of me. This person's going to do the right thing. And it's all about that value stack.
Yes.
How do you present yourself to be and to deliver the most amount possible for what you're offering?
Yeah. And once again, even in that situation, the only reason emotion trumped was because they have a better connection. They've established a better relationship, which at the start of this is exactly what we talked and said sales was. Establish relationships and connections, and you will always win.
Yeah. And that comes back to my point. Be yourself.
Yep.
Be a human. Don't be that cheesy salesman. Connect with people on a real level. Be honest, and you can make these connections.
Yep.
And they will open doors that you never would have imagined.
Yep. Awesome.
I think that's enough for us today.
I think that's enough. Guys, hope you enjoyed the new spot. We may be in a new spot again in a week or two with the new office that we signed. So, stay tuned to see what the backdrop looks like there.
Yeah, keep it real.